Joe Gale is the Montgomery County Commissioner, the one Republican there. His name was invoked last week. And Joe asked that he come on to kind of clear the air. He wants to be commissioner again. It's clear that there are people running the Republican Party in Montgomery County that don't care for Joe. That's true. From what I understand, there are people that are challenging the people in power in Montgomery County that don't care for Joe. So, Joe, the one thing that you seem to be able to do well is unite those in opposition to one another, in opposition to you. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And that is
it's a mess
true.
there. It's a mess in Montgomery County, Joe. What's going on?
There are so many factions within the Montgomery County Republican Party swamp. It's amazing. And to your point, there is one common denominator, and that's that all the factions do not like Joe Gale. And that is why the public supports me. Because the party is disgusted with inter-party politics, the swamp collusion, business as usual. Everything they do is wrong. And I'm a result of it. I'm a two-term Montgomery County commissioner, the youngest in the history of the county, that's never not only been endorsed, I've never been endorsed by the Montgomery County Republican Party. They have actively worked against me over the years and spent a lot of money against me. So I'm not only the youngest commissioner ever in our county, I'm the first elected without the support of either major party. My own party has worked against me. And I have a very simple philosophy. The voters make up the party. It's not the county chairman of the GOP. It's not the area leaders, the state committee, the committee people. It's the voters. And at unprecedented levels, I've connected directly with the voters over 8 years. They elected me to the highest elected office in the county. I'm the highest ranking Republican, the only elected Republican in Montgomery County. And they support what I do. They know that I'm a fearless conservative. I'm a proven watchdog for the taxpayers and families in Montgomery County. And I have complete independence of the Republican Party establishment swamp. And that's my appeal to the public. And they still can't get it through their thick heads. And it's incredible. Now they're fighting over it.
Joe Gale is with us, Republican on the Montgomery County Commissioners Board. What people say of you, Joe, the criticism that I often hear leveled, Liz, who was your former party outgoing chair, said on this show, and I've heard this before, that you just reflexively oppose everyone with an R behind your name that's not you. That's been the charge leveled at you, that you're just constantly talking down everyone who runs, no matter their name, because they're never conservative enough for you. Is that fair?
You know what? Sadly, that is the truth, and someone has to do it, because far too often we are let down by the Republican Party, particularly here in the state of Pennsylvania. Whether it's the last Republican governor we had, Tom Corbett, who implemented the highest gas tax in the entire country when he had a Republican legislature in Harrisburg. That was his biggest accomplishment. It was a disaster. Whether it's the Republicans we had recently in the state legislature that enacted Act 77, 50 days of no excuse mail-in voting unanimously, I point the fingers to the Republicans that did that. And I'm the only elected official in the state of Pennsylvania that can criticize my own party, their flaws and ineffectiveness, because I have complete freedom and independence of them. They did not create me, and they cannot break me. And I think that's refreshing, and we have to hold accountable our Republicans. And I heard the interview last week with Liz Priate-Havey. Some of your listeners may recognize the name Priate. She's now the former chair of the Montgomery County GOP. Her father is Ernie Priate, who's the former Pennsylvania Attorney General who disgraced the office back in the 1990s when he went to prison for mail fraud. So this woman, Liz Priate-Havey, has grown up through the establishment. It's in her blood. And she holds a personal grudge and vendetta against me because back in 2015, my very first run for Montgomery County Commissioner, I ran in the Republican primary unendorsed because the committee endorsed a board member of Planned Parenthood. And Liz Priate-Havey served as that candidate's campaign chairperson, and I beat him. So it's personal with her. I beat her dog in the race. It's a reflection of her, and she's bitter about it. So she took it upon herself to become chairperson of the Republican committee to finish the job of taking me out. She failed at it, and now I'm up for a third term, and I'm sure they do internal polling. They obsess over me. It's incredible. And I have a lot of public support, and she realizes, she sees the writing on the wall that I should get reelected by a very large margin, and she doesn't want that to reflect on her once again. So she vacates the chairmanship right in the middle of this election. She puts a hand-picked puppet in to replace her, and don't make no mistake, she'll be active behind the scenes to try to take me out. But it's personal with this woman. And I heard the interview. I was shocked at how disrespectful she was on the air. She's a miserable person, and I am so proud of myself for making people like that and their lives miserable, because they deserve it. They've ruined this party in Montgomery County. They've ruined the Republican Party in the state of Pennsylvania. She holds various leadership roles in the Pennsylvania Republican Party. And I'm a young guy that's viewed as the future of conservative politics, not only in Montgomery County, but in Pennsylvania. And because they can't control me or influence me, they want me dead and gone. Make no mistake about it, the Republican Party wants me gone. And Montgomery County, unfortunately, happens to be a solid Democrat blue county, unwavering. There's over 100,000 more registered Democrats in Montgomery County. And they want me gone as the minority commissioner and replaced with a lapdog that plays ball with the two Democrat county commissioners. That's what this is all about.
I was going to say, I assume it's, I know Chester County's rule was this. I assume it's the same in Montgomery County. There must be a minority. It can't be three Democrats, in other words. There has to be a Republican on the commission, yes?
Correct. Montgomery County, Bucks County, Chester County, they're all a three-member board of commissioners with a mandatory minority seat. Now, all these counties have flipped Democrat. Montgomery County was the first county outside the Philadelphia suburbs to flip. That was in 2011 when Shapiro came along. Now it's a Democrat stronghold. And if your listeners have followed me over the last 8 years, I'm a very outspoken minority commissioner. That's not the same in Chester County and Bucks County. Their minority commissioners play ball. They go along to get along. I disrupt the status quo. I expose the corruption, the backroom deals, the wasteful spending. I oppose the tax increases. And they wanted to reverse to business as usual, where the minority commissioner plays ball and makes deals for crumbs with the Democrats in the majority. And
are they running a primary challenge? I'm sorry,
Yes,
Joe. I just
are.
wondered, what's the status there with your race on May 16th?
Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but my point is these party bosses are in it to get rich off our tax dollars, whether it's solicitorships, legal work, contracts from the government. That's what they want, including this Liz Priate-Havey woman. They can't get it from me. Yes, I do face a primary challenge. The primary is upcoming on May 16th. Now, last week, the GOP swamp endorsed two candidates that are total political puppets. No one knows them except the inter-party committee people. But they'll do what they're told, and there's simply a name on a ballot that's designed to take out Joe Gale. And what the committee people do on Election Day is they distribute green sample ballots to the voters as they walk in to vote. And that sample ballot has a list of all the endorsed candidates seeking the offices. I've never been on a green ballot, not only in primaries where I'm unendorsed by the party, but also the general election, where the Republican establishment directs their voters to vote for every Republican except Joe Gale in the general election. And I win and they all lose. So it's important that we reject those green sample ballots. That's tainted. That means that they're the puppets that they control. They're candidates that kissed the rings and played Mother May I. In my case, my opponents in this primary spent a year, an entire year, kissing the rear ends of 500 people and a couple party bosses to get their blessing to become the anointed person to take out Joe Gale. So I encourage the listeners, if you're a frustrated conservative like I am, that feels let down by the Republican Party swamp and disappointed with Republicans that lack a backbone, you have the opportunity to send a big, bold message to the swamp by bullet voting Joe Gale in the Republican primary for Montgomery County Commissioner on May 16th. And what that means is vote only Joe Gale in the race for county commissioner, because you have up to 2 votes. Now, they have an endorsed team of 2. I'm running rogue on my own, as I always do. To give me an advantage of coming in the top 2 in this primary, it's important they only vote Joe Gale for county commissioner. That gives me a better standing. If you vote for 2, you're diluting it. Now, post-primary, I will be paired, God willing I win the primary in May, I will be paired with whichever other Republican wins the other top 2 positions. Then it becomes a race over the minority seat. That's the reality. So the hopes of winning back the county courthouse to Republican majority, that simply will not happen. And they want me gone as the minority commissioner. So once again, I need all the Gale voters to bullet vote Joe Gale only for Montgomery County Commissioner in the general election. This is essentially an extended primary. It's a primary in May, but also in the general. And that's why I'm always at war with the Republican Party establishment. That's why I upset all the right people. And you're given the opportunity, look, not to flip a majority. I wish that was the case. It's simply not. But to have a bold, fearless conservative voice that's a proven watchdog for you, that restores the power of this position to the people and not to the party bosses. And I'm proud of that, and that's what this race is shaping up to be.
Joe, while I have you, just philosophically speaking, because this is just curious to me, I've thought about this, listening to people like Liz and Stan, who were kind of battling last week on the show about who was going to lead the party going forward, and knowing that you're in opposition to both of those, I wonder, there's something like 500, a little over 500 committee people who make up the Republican Party in voting party, that is, in leadership in Montgomery County. What can you do, or what can, and I heard from a lot of Montgomery County registered Republican voters who were just frustrated and threw their hands in the air in disgust with the whole thing, said our party's in a shambles. It's a mess. We're never going to be able to course correct unless we can all get in the same page and start rowing in the same direction. Do you have any kind of like overall philosophy on what can be done in Montgomery County? You know, the voters are just so irritated. They feel like those leading the party are all too fractious and not on the same page. Do you have a thought on how you can get over 500 people, most of whom are rowing in the same direction for a change?
Well, first of all, remember who the committee attracts. It attracts trolls, frankly, that are told what to do and they take their marching orders, and they're good soldiers that listen to the party bosses. That's what they seek in a committee person. That's not me, and that's not my supporters. We think for ourselves, we have our own beliefs, and we're disgusted with that system. That worked 30 years ago, 40 years ago when this was a Republican county. It's no longer the case. So what I do is I focus on winnable races, in this case, the highest elected office in the county, where there's a path to victory. You know, it's a Democrat county. You can't win Congress, state representatives, state senator, school board, local council. But I'm the county commissioner. So I spend my energy with the highest elected office, where in return, I become the face of the party. The hardworking conservatives that are busy raising their family and running a business and working hard, they don't care about the inter-party politics, and it attracts the wrong type of element of people. And I'll tell you, Chris, I can't tell you over the years how many good-hearted conservatives have contacted me and said, Commissioner Gale, I attended my local Republican committee meeting or my local Republican committee pig roast, and I'll tell you, I was turned off. These people are weird. They look weird. They sound weird. It's not my scene, and I get it. And that's why I broke away many years ago. I used to be a committeeman 15 years ago. I have absolutely no interest because, again, it's a simple philosophy. The voters make up the party. And even
but
though
can
we're
you,
a
Joe,
Democrat
can I push on that just a little? Because
Republicans.
Here's my question for you. Is there no way to reform the committee? I mean, will you always be the perennial outsider who just will not participate in organized Republican politics in Montgomery County?
Yeah, I will always be a proud outsider, but the GOP swamp doesn't want unity. They want conformity.
So that can't be, I mean, can there be, this is a sincere question and maybe it's a naive one. Can there be a groundswell that overturns the makeup of a committee? Or is that just institutionally not possible?
So I could go out and recruit 800 candidates for committee person and run them all and try to take over the party. I have no interest in doing that because the party is just a 501c3 organization. It's the voters. And that's why I do my Cup of Joes. I run a massive grassroots campaign connecting directly with the people. The party establishment and that structure is designed where they simply control the process. They don't want primaries. They just had an endorsement convention last week where they anoint who should be your nominee for county commissioner. And I say, screw that, leave it up to the voters.
Do you think, and again, I ask respectfully because I'm just trying to understand, do you think there really just shouldn't be an organized party then in Montgomery County? It should just cease to exist? You dissolve it?
You have 1 year. You have 1 year, and I was 26 years old when I first ran for county commissioner, and I beat it. And I beat it 4 times since with primaries and generals.
Understood, but I mean, should there not be one?
You can organize and have a structure where you get out the vote and things like that, but they have a different concept where they simply want to control who the candidates are. And now that it's a Democrat county, they want to be able to make deals for crumbs. See, yeah. I think the difference is the agenda. Your listeners, their agenda is good government, conservative values and principles that created this nation are here to exist in the Philadelphia suburbs. The party bosses have a totally different agenda, and it's a business. They have law firms where one partner in the firm is a Democrat party chair. The other partner is a Republican party chair. Well, guess what? That law firm that's getting rich off our tax dollars doesn't care who's in power because they have all the bases covered and they can bring legal work into the firm. So that's why they're in politics. And that's why there's such a void here where we want good conservative government. They have a totally different agenda. And the way they operate is through the structure of the establishment committee, and it's broken. And they just fight amongst each other over who they can control. And because I'm a young guy that they can't control, I've always had a target on my back. And again, if you focus your time and energy in the right political race, you can change things. But if you get bogged down in inter-party politics, you'll get exactly what you heard last week on your program. Bickering
May 16th,
back and forth and arguing with no result.
The primary is coming up on May 16th. Joe Gale is on your ballot in Montgomery County. How can people reach out to you and find out more, Joe?
Your listeners can visit joegale.com. I'm easy to access. I encourage you to reach out. You can host a Cup of Joe, a coffee clutch. I'll come to your home and talk with you. But if you're in Montgomery County or any of the surrounding counties and you share my frustration, I encourage you to get on board with Team Gale because we get the results, we know how to win, and we do it effectively through the right way. And that's what this is all about.
Thanks for your time today, Joe. I appreciate it.
I always appreciate it as well, Chris. You take care.
And so there you have it.